Is Subaru finally hitting the skids? Well, if you listen to the internet, this company is struggling. But Troy Poston, one of Subaru's most senior sales executives, reckons this car, the 2026 Subaru Forester Hybrid, will save the company. So, is the hybrid model actually better than the regular version? Or is it just more annoying and more expensive? Has Subaru screwed the pooch? Well, today we're going to find out. We're running the petrol and the hybrid sport models back to back on the same roads, in the same conditions, at the same time. And yes, we're going to talk about the one feature that made me want to constantly pull over. I've got my second driver, Trent. He's already covered this subject in depth on Carsales written editorials. And now we're investigating some good things and some not so good things about these cars. Kurt Kreifels made an interesting video a couple of months ago saying that this brand is really struggling in the USA while its rivals are powering ahead. He reckons the future for Subaru is looking a bit grim. We're actually seeing a similar pattern here in Australia with the official VFACTS new vehicle registration data showing that every single Subaru model dropped in sales for the 2025 calendar year, except for one. Yep, the Forester. And that vehicle has single-handedly kept the brand's overall sales steady. So it's not so much a case of the Forester saving the company moving forward, because we're already seeing evidence of this. Without the Forester propping up the company, however, you wouldn't have brand-building hero cars like the WRX and the BRZ that are awesome, but rarely profitable. Mazda's another example of this struggle. It's constantly faced conflicting priorities between what they must produce and what they want to produce. These boring volume models, family SUVs and the like are crucial to car companies because researching and developing sports cars is very expensive, and those sports cars rarely make a lot of money. Okay, so how much is this bread and butter medium-sized hybrid SUV in Australia? Well, this sport model is priced at $55,000 before on-road costs, so you're going to be spending around $60,000 to get it on the road. Now, the petrol is $6,500 cheaper. It's a lot of money. You do get a few more trinkets in the Forester Hybrid Sport model compared to the Petrol Sport, such as a digital driver's display, Harman Kardon stereo, 19-inch alloy wheels, and bronze accents inside and out. So let's assume the hybrid system is worth $3,000 more at most because it's a Toyota drive system, and that's what Toyota used to charge for its hybrid system. That means the stereo, the wheels, and the digital instrument cluster and bronze bits cost $3,500 extra? Please. To quote Trent, the maths isn't mathing on this one. Both cars have 5-year unlimited kilometre warranties, while the hybrid's lithium-ion battery has a longer duration. Running costs for both are higher than key competitors. You're spending around $460 per annum for capped price servicing, which is about $200 more than a RAV4 per service on average. 1 year of complimentary roadside assistance is pretty shabby, but better than a poke in the eye with a sharp stick. Both cars have the exact same advanced driver assistance safety systems, say that 3 times with a Snickers in your gob, and it's grouped under the EyeSight umbrella. These enable both to accelerate, brake and steer by themselves in certain scenarios, like on the freeway. Both of them are very effective at doing so, but are also fairly annoying with the audio alerts. The beeping and bleating is super annoying, and although you can turn all the systems off, every time you start the car up again, they switch back on. You get 9 airbags and a 5-star ANCAP safety rating, and therefore it's a draw in this section. There's some subtle visual differences between these two models. The hybrid is a bit more conservative, the petrol is a bit more fun. You've got this fluoro green accent on the front and also on the C-pillars, and dark 18-inch alloy wheels, while the hybrid gets 19-inch bronze alloy wheels with bronze accents that do look pretty spiffy, I've got to admit. Both cars have quality name brand tyres, Falcons on the petrol and Bridgestones on the hybrid. The petrol comes in 6 different colours, while there are 9 paint options on the hybrid, but Subaru doesn't charge for premium paint, which is a rarity in this segment. Here the petrol is crystal white pearl, and the hybrid gets river rock pearl finish, a sort of grey hue. In this Forester hybrid versus petrol battle, both engines displace 2.5 litres, but the hybrid has an Atkinson cycle philosophy. Now, an Atkinson cycle engine has nothing to do with Mr. Bean. What it does is keep the intake valve open a bit longer to improve fuel efficiency. And if you want to know more about what an Atkinson cycle engine is, leave a comment and we'll make an explainer video. They are both 4-cylinder boxer configurations, or flat 4s, and this hybrid gets a version of Toyota's hybrid module, which adds a 1.1 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery and a single electric drive motor. The hybrid has slightly more power, but it's also heavier by 112 kilograms, and there's no doubt that the petrol feels swifter on the road. Both cars have automatic transmissions, or CVTs, driving all 4 wheels via Subaru's renowned symmetrical all-wheel drive system. Okay, we're starting with the cheaper petrol-only Subaru Forester Sport, and first impressions is that this is all very fit for purpose, but also generously equipped. There's a lot of stuff here. You've got these waterproof neoprene wetsuit style seats, they're cool, branded floor mats, a big central screen, and nice large controls everywhere. Plus, there's also a rather large moonroof as well. Nice. Fit and finish isn't too shabby at all. Material quality is good, with a pleasant mix of soft touch materials across the doors and dashboard. The doors feel nice when they thud shut, and while there are some cheap plastics around, there's also plenty of nice quality materials across all the major touch points. The green stitching is brave, like ordering extra wasabi, but the topographical motifs and other little Easter eggs around the joint lean into the Forester's I own hiking boots personality. The seats are supportive and actually quite comfy as well. Plus, you've got 8-way power adjust for the driver and power lumbar adjust, so your lower back is properly cared for. The setup's pretty good. You've got 2 memory settings here, so 2 different drivers. You can set it up the way you want, hit the button, boom. Plus, there's heated seat cushions for front seats, always good, and the front passenger gets power adjusted seats as well. The steering wheel though feels a bit like budget vinyl, more Kmart camping chair than premium leather. And while it adjusts nicely, the button layout isn't immediately intuitive. There's a lot going on here. Credit where it's due, however. You do get proper physical controls for audio and climate. Everything else lives on the big 11.6-inch touchscreen, but at least the key controls are permanently parked at the bottom, so you're not hunting through menus to access basic functions. Storage solutions are good, but not great. Our recent comparison with the Tucson, which you should definitely check out, showed that there are a few shortcomings, but here's what you do get: a small sized central bin here underneath the armrest. You've got 2 cup holders here with basic spring loading that do fit a 1 litre bottle. That's nice. There's not a lot of room for incidentals and odds and sods, so you can put your phone here, but the problem with this wireless phone charger is that this wall here is too low. It constantly flies out. The positive is that getting your phone in and out of there is easy, but yeah, like you go around a mild corner and it becomes like a deadly missile. You've got USB-A and USB-C. You've got an AUX input as well, so you can plug in, I don't know, some old mini disc player or something. The glove box is not bad. The sunglasses holder is a nice option, but again, there's no little super secret cubbies around, which is a bit disappointing. I do like the fact that the door pockets are pretty well sized, so the litre bottle goes in there nice and easy. The big 11.6-inch digital screen looks the part, but it's not as quick on its feet as many rivals in this space, with laggy swipes, especially after startup. Once it wakes up, it's fine to use, and the menus are simple enough, but the visuals feel dated, with some oddly squished fonts in some menus. The TomTom GPS sat-nav works, it just looks like it's time-travelled here from the distant past. That said, wireless CarPlay and Android Auto don't hog the whole screen, leaving room top and bottom for handy shortcuts. The analog dials in this non-hybrid model are little low rent for what is a 50k plus vehicle on the road. I kind of would have expected a fully digital dash, but the analog dials look good, they work well, and the little digital trip computer you get wedged between them in the middle actually has pretty much everything you need. It's got plenty of functionality. The reversing camera is best described as average. When you've got multiple views on the screen at once, everything's a little bit squished because of that vertically aligned screen. It is a bit better when you switch it to a single view, and there's also a weird Toyota-inspired spin around 3D sort of thing, but you can't physically adjust it. You just have to wait for it to spin around and then pause it. Righto, the hybrid version, and as you can probably see, it's not that different to the petrol version. Yes, you do get the digital dash, and it looks fantastic, and it's got pretty good functionality. I'll touch on that in a sec. And you do get a 10-speaker Harman Kardon sound system. That is a lot better than the 6-speaker system in the other vehicle, but $6,500 extra, even with that hybrid module, to me, it doesn't add up. In my book, that's not good value. And one other difference is the use of copper highlights instead of green. So you've got the sort of copper piping and orange stitching a little bit here. So it's got a bit more of a conservative, mature sort of look. And I personally do like the bronze better. But anyway, so the digital instrument cluster looks fantastic. Has a reasonable trip computer there, which is good. There's plenty of options, and you can hold down this button here, and there's 3 different themes, if you like, for the graphics there. One of which includes a map in the background, which is really good and which not all Japanese mid-size SUVs offer. So big thumbs up for that. Okay, the back seat of the petrol-powered Subaru Forester Sport is pretty good. I have a lot of room back here. It feels very roomy, heaps of leg room, good under thigh support from these comfortable seats. They're not as contoured as some rivals, but overall is pretty good, except headroom is a little bit shallow because this sunblind has to go back into this section here, so that brings it down a little bit. But look, overall, I'm enjoying this. The windows are not auto down and they don't have anti-pinch. I've tested it, I hurt myself, it was silly. We move on. Amenities good. You've got USB-C and A ports here, 2 air vents. That's nice. Fold down armrest with 2 cup holders. No reading lights. Bit of a shame there. Not the end of the world. The headrests aren't comfy, but they are adjustable, so that's nice. The seat backs don't adjust. That's, you know, not the end of the world, but some rivals do offer that, so take it as it comes. Otherwise, it's not too bad. You get the usuals like ISOFIX, twin ISOFIX child seat anchorages, and 3 top tether anchorages. Top tether, yeah. The back seat in the hybrid Forester is identical to the non-hybrid Forester, except for these little orange highlights and the orange stitching. And there is also a little vent here to help the thermal dynamics of the battery pack. And I also forgot, they do actually have adjustable backrests, and that improves comfort a lot. There's a little pulley down here, a pull pulley right there. You get 2 ISOFIX and 3 top tether child seat anchorages as well. So both cargo areas are almost identical, except for one key point. The petrol under here has a full-size 18-inch alloy spare wheel. That's good. The hybrid does not. However, you can get one, and it attaches to the tow hitch, costs more than $3,000, and you have to swing it out of the way to open the boot. Bit of a hassle, but I guess in hindsight, it does mean you do get a full-size spare wheel. With that in mind, and only a smattering of extras compared to the non-hybrid model, the petrol Forester wins this category. So, the old faithful petrol is ahead on the scoreboard, but how will they go on the road? Because these 2 vehicles actually have different suspension tunes, and the way they put the power to the ground is also quite a bit different. All right, I'm starting in the petrol Forester. Trent is in the hybrid, and surprisingly, for this type of family SUV, it's actually quite a fun place to be. The vehicles are very similar in terms of on-road behaviour, and while both powertrains are underwhelming, their ride and handling is a different story. The Japanese duo are light on their feet. They're energetic. They're
they're more engaging than I expected, and I reckon more engaging than a lot of other mid-size SUVs out there as well. This is fun. Their positive attitudes continue with impressive ease of use, and the fundamentals are solid, especially around town and at lower speeds. These are good urban commuters. If you're doing a lot of school runs, shopping, all that sort of stuff, you're not going to be disappointed with the Forester.
This is because it has excellent outward vision through its large windows, light steering, and surprisingly compliant suspension.
It's interesting driving these vehicles back to back because there are subtle differences.
The petrol model's softer suspension and chunkier tyres deliver better ride comfort than the hybrid.
Speaking of which, the hybrid has some tangible differences too. The brake pedal is a little sharper, a little touchier, and that's a negative. It's not as smooth and well modulated. And we need to talk about the CVT as well, or continuously variable transmission. It can be tiresome. That's because it sits at a certain rev point and just drones. It just bangs on like my missus droning on about how good Depop is. Newsflash, it's just an op shop online.
The Petrol Forester's CVT, on the other hand, is one of the best we've tested. It feels similar to the CVT in the WRX in that it doesn't just hold revs close to the red line and drone on. It gives the impression that you're winding through 8-stepped gears, even when you're not using the paddle shifters.
In terms of acceleration, the hybrid feels a bit zippier off the line and probably is a bit better suited to the cut and thrust urban and city driving, but the petrol catches up pretty quickly and it is actually better at freeway overtaking and things like that. It's got more poke, and that's because of that weight deficit. The petrol is more than 100 kilograms lighter, and that makes a big difference in terms of acceleration. You're simply pushing less mass around.
Ride comfort is slightly less compliant in the hybrid Forester. You'll feel a few more bumps in the larger wheeled petrol electric SUV than you will in its cheaper petrol only sibling.
The firmer suspension tune in the hybrid is designed to counteract its extra weight, and it works fairly well. It doesn't roll as much through the corners, so yeah, you don't get as much body roll, and whether that's at high speed on flowing corners like here out in the bush, or whether you're just going around a roundabout around town. It also decreases suspension rebound, which means it settles quicker after bumps. So yeah, it's a good setup.
When it comes to refinement levels, these aren't the quietest mid-size SUVs out there. The Boxer engines are actually quite refined. It's tyre noise that's the culprit here.
If I asked you which Forester would be better suited to city and urban driving, I wouldn't be surprised to hear you answer the hybrid. And you'd be correct. Well, mostly.
That's because the hybrid system requires feather-light throttle inputs to be effective, and the EV-only mode gives up at around 45 kilometres an hour as well, which is pretty disappointing for something marketed as a strong hybrid.
Which is why our as-tested mid-7 litre fuel economy figure is actually a pretty good result when compared to this petrol-powered Forester.
But it falls short compared to a Toyota RAV4 or Hyundai Tucson hybrid. Our testing showed both those hybrids averaging mid-5s.
The electric drive motor in the hybrid is reluctant to sustain drive on its own, and that can be frustrating because it's constantly kicking out of EV mode, and even when you hit that EV button, annoying.
Its parameters of use are strictly enforced by the car's computer brain, and EV mode sometimes flat out refuses to engage. But ultimately, the hybrid wins this round because it is more fun to drive and significantly more efficient than its petrol-only sibling. Okay, now it's time to test gravel and light off-road capability. So, a lot of people say this is where the Forester is most at home. We shall see. On the gravel, there's not much between them. They're both predictable and easygoing. You could do this all day in either of the cars. The suspension is compliant in both of these Foresters, but because this petrol version is a little bit softer, it kind of feels a bit more progressive and almost a bit more I wouldn't say predictable, but yeah, it just feels like it's more suited to the dirt road, corrugations. It sort of absorbs everything a little easier. But yeah, both are very competent on dirt roads. The same can be said for throttle modulation. You're less likely to get wheel spin in the petrol because it doesn't have that instant torque delivery the electric motor of the hybrid brings to the party. All right, let's turn up the heat. We're going to find something a little tougher, a little more challenging for these two Foresters, because after all, this is what Subarus are supposed to be adept at. They're supposed to be better than your regular family SUV when hitting the rough stuff. Now, both these Foresters have a couple of off-road modes. It's called X mode. So we've got dirt and we've got mud. And I'm going to start off in dirt, see how we go. And if things get troublesome or challenging, I'll flick it into mud mode. And they basically control the traction and stability systems and electronic nannies. Hopefully give me more grip when it's required. All right. Steady throttle is the way. Now, these Foresters are supposed to have 220 millimeters of ground clearance, and that's what a lot of big utes have. And if you ask me, when I'm looking at it, it doesn't look like 220 mils, but we'll try and take on some of these tricky sections. All right, a little bit of a dip here. Oh yeah. Oh, we're on a bit of a balance point. Only 2 or 3 wheels on the ground. Oh, more throttle. Come on. Oh, I can feel it scrabbling. Yes. Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad. All right, here we go. How are we going to go up here? Okay, this looks a little tricky. I'm going to chuck it in mud. Oh. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, it's sliding and slipping a bit, but this is, this is impressive. Lofted a front wheel. Wow. I've never been this far up this track in a soft roader. This is impressive. Go you good thing, petrol power. Interestingly, when I've chucked it in mud mode, it's turned off the stability control. So I guess this is the closest you're getting to, I don't know, a locking center diff or something like that. So I've done a quick check of the car, and turns out we've kissed something very, very hard. Got a little bit of battle damage here, and both these sections are plastic. Let's see how we go. Hey, look at this. Straight back in. Well, that has saved an awkward phone call. I reckon I could do a Dakar Rally engineering course. All right, let's now try the hybrid version. One thing that's interesting to note about these Foresters is that both this hybrid and the petrol have fully mechanical drive lines, where some hybrid family SUVs in this class they're essentially front wheel drive with an electric motor driving the rear axle. So yeah, this is actually designed to be more capable. Anyway, let's see how the hybrid goes. A little hill climb. Ooh, let's pop it in. Okay, dirt mode, and off we go. Already the hybrid feels a bit different. I'm not getting quite the connection to the vehicle through the throttle that I got in the petrol only version. Oh, Houston, we have a problem. Come on, the petrol got up here fine. Go. Nah. Oh, nah. The hybrid does not want to go up. All right, we're flicking it into mud mode a little earlier than the petrol. Oh, nah. It ain't doing it. And interestingly, when I put it in mud mode in this hybrid, it's not switching the stability control and traction control off, suggesting this mode isn't, locking that center diff or a quasi lock or whatever it's doing. All right, one more go. Come on, hybrid. Okay, so I'm thinking maybe I'll turn traction control off and that'll be good. But in dirt or mud mode, it blanks out the stability and vehicle dynamics control buttons. So it forces them to stay on, and that is proving a problem. So if I put it in normal, yes, I can turn vehicle dynamic control off, but that's not going to do anything for grip. So the problem being, it's constantly flashing the traction control. Whereas I feel like if I could force it to turn off, I might get up here. So is this a software issue? Anyway, the results are in. The petrol is way better on tricky terrain than the hybrid. This is very disappointing. The hybrid is just stuck halfway up. Better back it down then. Here I was expecting the hybrid to be maybe not quite as good as the petrol off-road, but the lack of traction and the inability to turn off stability control in those mud and dirt modes really hampers this vehicle. And yeah, if you want to go off-road, don't get the hybrid. It's super disappointing. And I remember when we tested this against the Tucson, we did this same climb and it was neck and neck, and actually felt like the Tucson did a lot of it easier than this. So Subaru, I think you need to go back to the drawing board, figure out how to make this hybrid a lot better off-road, because it pales in comparison to that sweet, sweet petrol setup. Trent made a good point just before, in that most buyers, most owners will never take their vehicles off-road, but our testing shows that they actually can get off the beaten track, especially the petrol model. The petrol Forester wins when it comes to the final scoring metric because of value for money primarily. It'll take you a long time to recoup that $6,500 in fuel if you buy the hybrid, even if you slice off a few $1,000s for the extra equipment. Our testing metrics, our testing score sheet reflects both of our professional opinions in this particular comparison, in that we would both prefer the petrol and we think it's a better overall package. Simple as that. So while the Subaru Forester Hybrid is not actually better than the Forester petrol model because it is more expensive and more annoying, I don't think Subaru has screwed the pooch here. That's because this new strong hybrid Forester is a step forward, and compared to its predecessor, it's a far more well-rounded product, no doubt about it. It's also more fuel efficient, but at the end of the day, the petrol Forester is just a more compelling vehicle and wins this family feud. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'm curious, do you own a midsize SUV, a family soft roader? And if so, have you ever taken it to a place like this off-road? Leave a comment below and I'll see you next time.